Welcome to the Brain Alpha. Today, we are bringing you an explainer that is going to fundamentally change how you approach your biggest goals. You know that paralyzing, stomach-dropping dread you feel right before a massive corporate presentation? Or maybe when you're just thinking about finally launching that side hustle? Well, here is the secret. Success really isn't about avoiding that anxiety. Not at all. It's about knowing exactly how to handle it. Let's get right to it.
Think about it. What if avoiding anxiety actually makes it worse? You know how it is. We get overwhelmed and just want to completely tune out. We try to distract ourselves by doom scrolling through X or TikTok, or we just kind of bury our heads in the sand. But man, here is the hard truth. Doing that only allows that invisible monster of anxiety to grow larger and larger in the background. Avoiding it doesn't kill it, it literally just feeds it.
Sigmund Freud actually hit the nail on the head when he said, "Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways." Basically, when you suppress those worries, you are absolutely guaranteeing that they are going to sabotage you later on. They just sit there and fester in the dark until they become so massive that you feel completely incapable of taking on any new challenges. You're effectively throwing your potential right down the drain just by trying to hide from your own thoughts.
So how do we actually fix this? Well, renowned psychotherapist Emma McAdam developed a highly practical, totally science-backed 5-step method to cure this exact paralysis. Today, we're walking through her complete framework. We're going to unpack the anxiety trap and then move right through her 5 steps. Observe, brain dump, analyze the smoke detector, identify control, and finally, take action.
All right, let's dive into the core problem first, the anxiety trap, and why we get so stuck. The harsh reality here is that the trap keeping like 99% of people from succeeding in their careers is not a lack of talent. It's simply not knowing how to process everyday worries. Highly successful people, they feel fear just like the rest of us. They just use a functional roadmap to get through it. By following these 5 steps, from observing to taking action, you'll quickly realize that anxiety is actually just a manageable process.
Which brings us to step 1 of the framework. Observe. Just watch it without judgment.
Before you can fight the monster, you kind of have to stop fighting for a second and just watch it. Observation breaks down into 5 really practical skills. First, just recognize the emotion. Second, label it specifically. Don't just say, "I feel bad." Say, "I am terrified about failing my quarterly performance review." Third, locate that physical feeling, like that knot in your tight stomach. Fourth, detach yourself. Remember, you are not your anxiety. And fifth, do not judge it. Recognizing these symptoms helps you instantly realize your thoughts are exactly that. They are just thoughts, not absolute truths.
Now we move to step 2, the brain dump. It's time to actually face those fears.
This is where we completely stop running. A brain dump is literally just the act of writing down all those swirling, chaotic, formless worries onto a piece of paper. It transforms them into visible, manageable problems. When fear stays locked inside your head, it's this massive, unconquerable ghost. But the exact moment you write down your specific fears, whether it's about a looming IRS tax deadline or some high-stakes client meeting, you pull that terrifying unknown right out of your mind. Suddenly, it just becomes a small, totally solvable issue sitting right there on your desk.
Next up is step 3, and this is a game changer. Analyze the threat with the smoke detector.
Now that your anxiety is physically on paper, we have to ask a critical question. Is this a real fire or a false alarm? Emma McAdam uses this brilliant smoke detector analogy here. Think about it. Your kitchen smoke alarm blares if there's a raging fire destroying your house, right? But it also goes off if you just burn a piece of toast. While our primitive brains operate the exact same way. They evolved to keep us safe from wild predators, but today they wildly overreact to a missed email or an awkward Slack message the exact same way. Ask yourself, is my life actually in danger right now? Almost always, the answer is no.
That leads us beautifully into step 4, identify, control, and focus your energy.
Once we realize we aren't literally about to be eaten by a bear, we need to figure out what pieces of the situation are actually within our power to change. On one side, we have things we can control, our preparation, our attitude, our practice. On the exact opposite side, we have things we simply cannot control, the Federal Reserve's interest rates, our boss's terrible mood, the weather. It is unbelievable how much mental energy we waste agonizing over the things we can't control, instead of just sitting down and, preparing for our own presentation.
A key part of identifying control is stopping to ask yourself, what is truly important to me? You've got to anchor yourself to your core values. Let's say you are absolutely terrified of attending this massive industry mixer in Vegas because of social anxiety. But if your core value is that scaling your startup is your #1 priority right now, that value gives you an anchor. It gives you the raw courage to push through the temporary, awkward discomfort of a crowded room, because taking that action aligns perfectly with what truly matters to you.
And finally, we hit step 5, take action. This is how you shrink the monster.
Look, we can observe and analyze all day long, but taking physical action is absolutely the only way to shrink the monster of anxiety once and for all. You basically have 2 clear paths here. Path 1, take a small step for things you can control. Just send that scary email, make that difficult phone call, or just outline the first page of your project. Path 2, accept and let go for the things you cannot control. You simply cannot change a mistake you made 5 years ago, and you certainly can't control the global economy. For those things, you have to accept reality, draw a hard line, and move forward with what you can actually influence.
Because the bottom line is this: action shrinks anxiety, period. When you take action, even the absolute smallest microscopic step forward, you are providing your brain with hard, undeniable evidence that the problem is solvable. The literal moment you take that step, you hit the mute button on the false alarm, and the panic instantly dials down. You stop being a victim to your worries, and you finally become the driver of your own life.
So, I want to leave you with this final empowering question. Will you let the false alarm dictate your life, or will you take control of the smoke detector? You now have the exact 5-step framework to stop the panic, regain your focus, and start achieving those huge goals. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and help us build a hype. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.